The firefighter who knows the proper use and applications of protective breathing apparatus also knows the difference between life and death. In this program, you will see an overview of SCBA Basics. We'll present SCBA functions, safety features, limitations, and hazardous environments. The training objectives are: 1. To present the functions of each component of the SCBA system. 2. To identify the safety features associated with various types of SCBA. 3. To describe potential SCBA limitations as they relate to the wearer, the equipment, and the air supply. And 4. To identify many of the hazardous environments that will require you to use protective breathing apparatus. There are two types of self-contained breathing apparatus used in the fire service: open circuit and closed circuit. In this program, we will address only the open circuit SCBA unit, which is most frequently used in the fire service. The open circuit unit works with compressed air. A positive pressure system is used to prevent outside contaminants from getting into the facepiece. Positive pressure SCBA keeps pressure in the user's facepiece slightly higher than atmospheric pressure. It's this positive pressure that helps prevent contaminants from entering the facepiece in case a leak develops. Since 1983, only positive pressure SCBA units are in compliance with OSHA regulations. All demand units should be discarded or converted to positive pressure units. There are 4 basic SCBA component assemblies that you should be familiar with: the backpack and harness assembly, the air cylinder assembly. This includes the cylinder, valve, and pressure gauge. The regulator assembly. This includes both the high-pressure hose and the low-pressure alarm. And the facepiece assembly. This includes the low-pressure hose, breathing tube exhalation valve, and head harness. Let's take a look at each assembly and its respective functions. The backpack assembly holds the air cylinder on your back. Regardless of a firefighter's physical size, adjustable harness straps provide a custom fit. Waist straps properly distribute the weight of both the cylinder and the pack. The second component of the SCBA system is the air cylinder assembly. Air cylinders come in several sizes. The cylinder is the heaviest part of the breathing apparatus, since it must be strong enough to safely contain the high pressure of compressed air. An average composite cylinder weighs about 16 pounds. Steel and aluminum cylinders can weigh as much as 20 pounds. Low-pressure cylinders are rated at 2,216 pounds per square inch, while high-pressure cylinders have 4,500 pounds per square inch. Air cylinders are estimated to last up to 30 or 60 minutes of breathing air, but in most cases, the actual time of use will be less. The third component is the regulator assembly. Air from the cylinder travels through the high-pressure hose to the regulator assembly. The regulator drops the pressure of the cylinder air to levels slightly above atmospheric pressure. The regulator also controls airflow to meet the breathing requirements of the wearer. When you breathe, the pressure in the facepiece is lowered. The apparatus diaphragm moves slightly inward, tilting the admission valve just enough to allow low-pressure airflow into the facepiece. The fourth component assembly in the SCBA system is the facepiece assembly. The facepiece assembly consists of the facepiece lens, an exhalation valve, and, if the regulator is separate, a low-pressure hose to carry the air from the regulator to the facepiece. The facepiece lens is made of clear safety plastic that's connected to a flexible rubber mask. The facepiece is held securely against your face with adjustable straps, net, or other arrangements. A speech diaphragm in the facepiece allows you to communicate easier. The exhalation valve, located at the chin of the facepiece, is a one-way valve that releases a single exhaled breath without allowing any contaminants from the outside atmosphere in. The low-pressure hose, which transports the air from the regulator to the facepiece, must be well maintained and kept free from kinks at all times. The open-circuit positive pressure SCBA is the most common protective breathing apparatus used in the fire service today. Now that you've seen the 4 basic SCBA component assemblies, let's look at some important safety precautions. Every component and function of your self-contained breathing apparatus has been designed with specific safety features. Here are some important SCBA safety tips to keep in mind. First, use only positive pressure SCBA. OSHA, the NFPA, and ANSI all require that only positive pressure breathing apparatus be used in the fire service. Don't substitute interchangeable parts from component assemblies. Certain parts, such as cylinders and backpacks, are interchangeable. However, as soon as you substitute, you void all manufacturer's warranties and safety agency certifications. Several companies manufacture open-circuit SCBA. Different companies use different design features and different mechanical specifications. Substitutions simply aren't worth the compromises they cause. Don't remove the waist straps from the backpack and harness assembly. All too often, waist straps are removed or are just not used. When these straps are not used, the weight of the cylinder and pack is not distributed properly. Improper distribution of weight can cause back injuries or even falls. The manufacturer's warranty is no longer in force when waist straps are removed from a certified SCBA unit. This can leave the fire department or firefighter liable for any injuries that happen due to a faulty SCBA. All regulators have external controls for the mainline and bypass valves. The controls will be different shapes, so you can identify them by touch. The mainline valve should be open and locked during operation. In the event of a regulator failure, unlock the mainline valve and close it. Then, operate the bypass valve. Know how to read and interpret the pressure gauge located near the regulator. The pressure gauge tells you how much air is left in the air cylinder at any given time. The gauge may show pounds per square inch, or PSI, or a percentage or fraction of the amount of air left. Make sure that the regulator gauge reading is consistent with the cylinder gauge before every use. Listen for the low air supply alarm. All modern SCBA units have an audible alarm that activates when the cylinder pressure drops to approximately 25% of capacity. An SCBA team must leave the fire area immediately after the first firefighter's alarm sounds. Maintain the facepiece assembly in proper working order. Keep the low-pressure hose free from kinks and avoid contact with sharp or abrasive surfaces. The exhalation valve cannot fully close when dirt or foreign materials clog the valve. This allows contaminated atmosphere to enter the facepiece. Regular cleaning keeps the valves in proper working condition. Even though the facepiece provides some protection from facial burns, you should use all of the personal protective equipment that's available to you, including hood, helmet, and ear flaps. Finally, control and prevent internal fogging on your facepiece lens. Different temperatures, inside and outside the facepiece, can cause the facepiece lens to get cloudy, which hampers your vision. Internal fogging happens when the lens is cool, causing humid exhaled breath to condense. There are 3 ways to control or even prevent internal fogging. The first way is to quickly open and close the bypass valve to release a brief flow of cylinder air. Unfortunately, this technique uses up valuable air. A second way is to equip your facepiece with a nose cup that deflects exhaled air away from the lens. A third way is to apply an anti-fogging chemical to the lens of the facepiece. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations for using the chemical. There are 3 types of limitations that affect the proper use of protective breathing apparatus: the limitations of the wearer, the equipment, and the air supply. Limitations of the wearer include physical, medical, and mental factors. Physically, you are affected by your condition, agility, and even your facial features. There is a direct correlation between sound physical conditioning and the extent to which the air supply can be stretched. Good agility allows you to overcome mobility limitations imposed by the SCBA equipment. And even the shape and contour of your face can affect your ability to get a good face piece-to-face seal. Medically, you face additional limitations. Good motor coordination is necessary for using any protective breathing apparatus efficiently. Muscular and skeletal conditioning allows you to wear protective equipment and to perform the necessary tasks. Good cardiovascular fitness helps prevent heart attacks, strokes, or other stress-related problems while wearing SCBA on the job. Mentally, there are 3 challenges facing every user of protective breathing equipment. Are you adequately trained? You must be knowledgeable in every aspect of SCBA use. How self-confident are you? Belief in your own abilities will have a positive effect on your performance. And how is your emotional control? The ability to maintain control in an excited or high-stress environment can reduce your chances of making a serious mistake. SCBA is designed to keep you breathing in a hostile environment, but the equipment itself presents some limitations. First, SCBA creates limited visibility. In addition to lens fogging, the facepiece also reduces your peripheral vision. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it isn't there. Get in the habit of verifying the landscape by rotating your vision a complete 180 degrees. Even though some facepieces have a speech diaphragm, the SCBA still limits your ability to communicate. A system of command and acknowledgement should be implemented, tested, and used while wearing protective breathing apparatus. The SCBA adds 25 to 35 pounds of weight that you must carry. Physical fitness conditioning may be the only way to compensate for this additional weight. And finally, the increased weight and movement restrictions caused by the harness straps will reduce your mobility. The available air supply can also be affected by several factors. These include the amount of physical exertion, the condition of the equipment, the cylinder pressure before use, and even the training and level of experience of the user. There are 4 common hazardous atmospheres associated with fires and other emergencies. These include oxygen deficiency, elevated temperatures, smoke, and toxic gases. The combustion process consumes oxygen. It also produces toxic gases that can displace or dilute the available oxygen. Exposure to heated air can damage the respiratory tract, and if the air is moist, the damage can be much worse. The tissue damage caused by breathing heated air is not immediately reversible by introducing fresh, cool air. Small particles of dust, carbon, and tar suspended and floating in a combination of heated gases is what we call smoke. Some of the suspended particles in smoke are merely irritating, while others are deadly. The size of the particle will determine just how far into the unprotected lungs it will be inhaled. In many cases, it is the combined effect of toxic gases that's most troublesome for firefighters. Inhaled toxic gases have several harmful effects on the lungs and in the bloodstream. Let's take a look at some of the most commonly found toxic gases at fire scenes. More fire deaths occur from carbon monoxide than from any other toxic product of combustion. CO is colorless, odorless, and is present with every fire. And even more carbon monoxide is formed in fires with poor ventilation and inefficient burning. Carbon monoxide does not act on the body, but it crowds oxygen from the blood. This leads to eventual hypoxia of the brain and tissues, followed by death. Symptoms and signs are not effective indicators of carbon monoxide poisoning, since toxic effects impact different people differently. Firefighters may be suffering the effects of CO exposure even though they feel no symptoms. After exposure, the administration of pure oxygen is the best treatment. Before exposure, the proper maintenance, fit, and use of SCBA is the best prevention against the effects of carbon monoxide. Hydrogen chloride is colorless, but is easily detected by its distinct odor and the intense irritation of the eyes and respiratory tract that it causes. The overhaul stage is especially dangerous because breathing apparatus is sometimes removed and toxic fumes tend to linger in the room. Even heated concrete can remain hot enough to decompose the plastics in telephone or electrical cables, releasing more hydrogen chloride. Hydrogen cyanide interferes with breathing at the cellular and tissue levels. As an asphyxiant, HCN inhibits the body's ability to use oxygen. Hydrogen cyanide can also be absorbed through the skin. Materials that give off hydrogen cyanide include wool, nylon, polyurethane foam, rubber, and paper. Hydrogen cyanide is usually present at fires that involve common interior furnishings. Although carbon dioxide is generally regarded as an extinguishing agent, it is also known as a common gas given off by the fire itself. Firefighters should anticipate high carbon dioxide levels when a CO2 total flooding system has been activated. The CO2 systems are designed to extinguish a fire by eliminating the oxygen, and they have the same effect on the respiratory systems of the firefighters who use them. There are two dangerous oxides of nitrogen, nitrogen dioxide and nitric oxide. Nitric oxide readily converts to nitrogen dioxide in the presence of oxygen and moisture. Nitrogen dioxide is commonly called silo gas and is frequently present when farmers are overcome in confined spaces in silos and grain bins. All nitrogen oxides are soluble in water and react in the presence of oxygen to form nitric and nitrous acids. Phosgene is produced when a refrigerant, such as Freon, contacts flame. It is a strong lung irritant, and the full poisonous effect is not evident for several hours after exposure. When phosgene contacts water, it decomposes into hydrochloric acid. Since the lungs and bronchial tubes are always moist, phosgene forms hydrochloric acid in the lungs when inhaled. Since toxic atmospheres can also be found in many situations in which fire is not involved, SCBA units should be worn at the scene until the exact nature of the atmosphere can be identified. Oxygen-deficient atmospheres are especially hazardous. The normal oxygen level of air is 21%. When oxygen concentration levels fall below 18%, physiological effects in the human body can be detected. OSHA requires workers to wear protective breathing equipment whenever entering an atmosphere that has less than 19.5% oxygen concentration level. In this program, you've seen an overview of self-contained breathing apparatus. You have seen the functions of each component of the SCBA system, the safety features associated with various types of SCBA, potential SCBA limitations as they relate to the wearer, the equipment, and the air supply. And you have seen many of the hazardous environments that will require your use of protective breathing apparatus. Protective breathing apparatus is extremely critical to the well-being of all firefighters. Your lungs and respiratory tract are more vulnerable to injury during firefighting than any other part of your body. Failure to master these objectives today could lead to failed rescue attempts, firefighter injuries, or even fatalities tomorrow.